Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about the AJAX XML HTTP object, that is session 3.4. Okay, so how to create an XML HTTP object. Okay, so whenever you want to request something, you have to use the request method of the XML. Okay, that is the basic thing required to fetch any data from any specific type. So in this case, which specific we are using XML data. Okay, to fetch an XML data, we are using this XML HTTP request, which is an EB that can be used by JavaScript, any script language transferred and manipulate XML data. Which data? XML data, that is extra markup language, and to and from a web server using HTTP. Okay, so the various methods under this XML HTTP request methods are abort, since it's self-explanatory, which aborts the current request. Get all response headers, returns the complete set of HTTP headers. There can be different type of HTTP headers, so if you want to fetch all of them, you can use this method. Get response header, which are suppose if you request and you have to get the response from someone else now. For that reason, the get response header. Open methods having different type of parameters here, so these are all self-explanatory. This will go through in a simple way. Method URL, that is method which get put post, again get post URL sync in the sense explain the synchronization and asynchronization AJAX, so that kind of synchronicity you can place here. Username and password, whether you have the username and password required. This comes in handy suppose you are taking a value from the database, so the database now should authorize and authenticate. For that reason, you can enter a username and password when you use this kind of method, open method, under this XML HTTP request methods. Okay, so whatever I explained, all these are here. Okay, so before going or jumping onto this, so what the heck is XML? Okay, so XML, everyone knows what is extra markup language. So what is extra markup language? Okay, it identifies the data, how to store it, but how not to present it. I'll repeat, how to store it but not to present it. So the feature of XML is that it stores the data, but it doesn't have the capability or any kind of functionality to view it. HTML is the part where it takes the help of its markup language and displays the data, but XML just stores the data. That's it. How it stores, how it stores, in which format it stores, in which sequence it stores, it doesn't matter, but it just stores the data. Okay, it's an extensible, allows you to create own self-descriptive tags. That is, suppose there is a book tag. In book you can find ISBN and book type, so you can use the tags like book, ISBN tags, and the ID tags. Gets data, does not present it. Okay, this can be a question also. Just remember this: XML gets data but does not present it. If you want to present, you can use the HTML. It's a public standard and it's open source. So what is markup? Before I jump onto this, just consider the example. Suppose you have a message and your text. Okay, these are the markup, and this is the markup with having the data. So this becomes a XML file. So in this way, you can store only the data. If you want to access the data, you can have to go through this, then this, and whatever value inside it's having in this markup will be displayed. That is the hello world. So it's a markup like a different set of rules for encoding documents. Okay, so this is kind of a encoding. When you want to fetch the values from this file, you can have we can use any type of encoding format, like it's UTF-8 or UTF-12. Markup is information added to a document that enhances its meaning in certain ways, that it defines the parts and how they relate to each other. A set of symbols that can be placed in text of document to demarcate and label parts of documents. You can see this in this file we are labeling something, we are giving meaningful information to a data. Okay, the markup symbols, these are the markup symbols, and the tags, the text, these are the tags. In text the values are present. Okay, is XML program language? So basically this is a very simple common question. So XML is not a programming language. Why? Because it just stores the data. That's it. It doesn't have the capability to be a programming language, where programming language has a set of grammatical rules and syntax that achieve some results, but here it doesn't produce any results, it just stores. For that reason, XML is not a programming language, it's just a markup language. Suppose example of an XML, you can see this contains information, name, phone, and end of this statement. There is no int, string, anything, so it just stores the data. And one more, you can see this, this is the syntax to use the XML. Okay, this is the syntax, and suppose if you want to specify the version, you have to specify the version here. Okay, in this you can add some amount of attributes. This is one attribute, you can add multiple attributes. So this is one more attribute, utf-8. If you want to specify some encoding formats, that is utf. So what is utf? Okay, utf is a Unicode transformation format with character capable of encoding this many bytes character points in Unicode, that is zeros, ones, 8-bit of codes. So you can use UTF-8, 12, etc. If you want to use those, you have to specify encoding is equal to the UTF-8 or 12. Okay, some term rules how to use the XML declaration is case sensitive. Okay, this is in lowercase. If you write in uppercase, it won't work. If a document contains XML declaration, then it needs to be first, like this way. This should be placed here, then only the data will be presented. This should not come in between or afterwards. So this should be the first sentence in your XML. Okay, an HTTP protocol can override the value of encoding you put in the XML declaration. Suppose you are using JavaScript or AJAX, then you specify the HTTP protocol dynamically. If you want to change that, you can change the protocol dynamically, that is the encoding, using AJAX or JavaScript. Okay, so encoding declaration, since I said you UTF-8 is a Unicode transformation format. There are certain kinds, UTF-8 or UTF-16. Okay, is used to represent the characters in the document. Parsers can determine automatically if a document uses the UTF or 16. Okay, if you want to specify automatically, the data will be passed automatically if you specify the 8 or 16 UTFs. Okay, one more variation, if you want to provide in Latin format, you can use encoding declaration using ISO 8859-1, that is encoding and the value of this. If you want use the shift JIS, then you can use encoding is equal to shift JIS. It depends upon which encoding you use, and based on that it will pass the data. Okay, standard declaration, suppose you are store data in locally, not in a web server. So for to specify that, you can use the standalone. Standalone, yes, in the sense that the document is in the local system, not in the web server. Okay, where the document relies on information from external source. Okay, external source in the sense any other web SQL database like MongoDB, SQL Server. If the standalone declaration has a value yes, okay, the parser will report an error if the document references an external DDT. Okay, data definition, document type definition. Okay, just think like you are storing your XML file in any other web server. If you want to specify, then you have to mention the standalone no, or if you are storing that data in a local machine, then you have to specify standalone yes. So this is the definition between the standalone declaration. Okay, the next is XML elements. So if you want to define, or if you want to study the XML, then you have to go to the elements. So what is an element? Everything from including the elements start tag to the elements end tag. Okay, in the element you can find the text, attributes, other elements, or a mix of those of the above. So this is an example. You can see the elements, the bookstore. This is the main indicating what is the data is all about. So it's a bookstore. In that you can find the fields, book, title. You can see there's an attribute also on category of the children, and this one more category also web. So this all defines the text, elements, attributes which you define. This is the attribute, this is the value, this is the text, and this is the you can call elements. Okay, so this is and the example above. Title, author, enterprise have content because they contain text. Okay, since they have the value, for that reason they are the elements. Bookstore and book have element contents because they contain elements. Bookstore and book, you can see here, book has these elements, bookstore has these elements. For that reason they have the element contents, that is they contain the elements, and also has an attribute. Since I said you this is an attribute and this is the value. So considering this was 3 parts, just I'll demonstrate you a good example. Okay, this is my heading, and if I click on this, I'll get my XML. This file is coming from XML. So how do I achieve that? First of all, this is an HTML. I'm using an HTML. In HTML, I'm using a script tag. If you open and close the script tag, then that means you can use the JavaScript. No need of referencing anything. I don't have any reference link here, like script link ref is equal to the website name. Just I'm using pure JavaScript. First of all, this function I'm calling when the page loads, that is onClick. onClick is used to sorry, no, this is on click when you used to click the button. Okay, so when you click on the button, that is this, I'm fetching the values. So based on the button click, I am calling this function, that is load document. This is my user defined function name. You can see I'm using a variable new XML HTTP request. This is the part we can use, or we can fetch the values from XML JSON. Okay, then on ready state, in the previous video I explained you what is the on ready state. We're checking whether we have fetched correctly or not. Based on this, the function will be called. If this isn't true, then it goes to here. Then whatever the error is, it throws to the user. Suppose if I change my file to some other thing, and I should get error after this. Okay, you can see this error not found. Okay, meaning to say we are checking whether the file which is fetched is correctly with the name or the data values. Okay, before jumping onto this, you can see this is my XML file. I have the catalog. Inside catalog, the subject, the elements, and inside it I have the elements and the value, that is the text element value, subject, course, country, company, price, year, and these are all encompassed in the catalog. So how to fetch this? My function this, okay, this function is going here, that is the flow is going here. Then I'm assigning some variables. Here I'm assigning the XML response XML. Why? Because you're using it, XML part, and you can see I'm passing a parameter here. Okay, this in the sense whatever you are fetching the request, pass the value as this. For that reason, the XML, you can write any name here, like any name. Just for understanding, the XML is written here. Then you have to fetch that response as XML, that is in the XML format. Then I'm generating a static dynamic HTML. Okay, this is the feature of JavaScript. You can generate HTML also by using this syntax. Okay, I'm taking one more variable XML, that is this one, dot get elements for tag name subject. This get elements for tag name is reference to this here, which tag name you want to specify, in which element the contents are present. It goes here, and inside whatever are this, then you can access this. Suppose how to access this all. For that reason I'm using a for loop. X and length x is where we are fetching this, that is 1 2 3 4. So I should get, if I want to provide the course, how many courses there? 1 2 3 4. Okay, so 1 2 3 4. Okay, and means this becomes 4. Okay, again I'm initializing. See, I'm appending here. This is known as increment in C and C++. Here I am appending, that is I am attaching the remaining HTML tags here. X in the x of 0, get elements for tag name, that is course, this one, get the android value here, 0 in the sense the index value. Child nodes, if suppose in the subject, inside the subject we have the course, right? For that reason course of 0. Child nodes of 0, that is there's no child, or if there's a child, then assign the value, and that node value is the inbuilt keyword of the JavaScript. Plus again it's appending, yes, x of y, that is I want to fetch another element, that is the year. For that reason again append, that is attach it, same, get elements per tag name, year, the child nodes, and the node value. Then close the remaining HTML tag. So this makes the code dynamically, it's generated dynamically. For that reason you can see this code here. If I inspect it, you can see tr td. Why? Because we are fetching two elements here, the course and the year. For that reason tr td, again it's closing here. Okay, tr td, it's closing dynamically. So to make it dynamic, first of all I'm assigning the HTML here, then using this I'm appending here by using this plus equal to tr_td, then appending, then fetching the value, then appending, then fetching the value. Okay, after all the values are fetched, how to display it? Document.html demo.inHTML. This demo is here, say. So inHTML is a function that appends whatever the value it's having here, or whatever the value it's having from here, that is from the right hand side to the left hand side. So table is having all these values, right? To order to show or to render as HTML like this way, we need to use this in HTML, that is document.html, that is getting the ID using JavaScript, then .inHTML, that is whatever HTML you have, just give me the value, that is the value is given from here. So this flow goes here, and whatever is inside it renders the values from this. So this is just an example of how to fetch the XML by using this XML HTTP request, whether to check whether it's a error or not. I'll share this file, just go through this. If you have any doubts, just let me know, and also comment on my videos. Okay, and thank you for your time.